Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Complicated Things. I am right here in my happy place, surrounded by big, old, beautiful cameras at the Penumbra Foundation, an incredible resource for photographers and all things photography. We did a fundraiser for the Penumbra Foundation a couple of weeks ago, and we made 8x10 beautiful tintypes of some wonderful people. One of them was Georgina Pazcoguin, who is a dancer for New York City Ballet, and that was a lot of fun. Let's show you how we made these photos, and a little bit later we'll show you what happens after we make them, how we varnish them, scan them, and get them ready for the people whose photos they are. Let's watch this. This is Mr. Jeffrey Berliner, the co-founder of the Penumbra Foundation, and a wealth of knowledge about everything. But today, he's been making sure that I'm doing a little bit right and making sure the pictures come out. But Jeff, I wanted to ask you, what is the history of tintype?
So tintype came later, 1856, but the process called wet plate collodion photography was originally on glass. A guy named Frederick Scott Archer, English gentleman, in 1852, and there were two different forms of wet plate collodion. There was an ambrotype, which is a positive on glass, and you would paint the back black, and then there was a glass negative. You can then use to make reproductions on paper, salted paper or albumin paper, printing out paper.
Was that contact printed?
Contact printed. And the artist, Julia Margaret Cameron, is known to do that.
Scottish.
She's Scottish.
Did you walk down the street like that?
Oh, I definitely walked on the street and got into a cab and
did.
Owned my extraness today.
Folks, this is Georgina. She is a wonderful, wonderful, kind, loving human being who I adore. She dances for New York City Ballet, and Georgina just came out with a book called Swan Dive, The Making of a Rogue Ballerina, and it's really about her struggle and how she's fulfilled her dreams and how she got to where she is, and it's an amazing read. So, Swan Dive.
Well done. Well done.
Took me a minute. All right.
That's well
You know, I don't have a teleprompter.
I owe you.
So what I love about tintype is it's the most pure form of photography. There's no digital, there's nothing. The camera has no settings.
Right.
It's just a piece of material that's photosensitive through a lens. And it's magic. To me, it's alchemy. And to see you just dressed like this right there is just blowing my mind.
Right.
All right, well, let's make a picture. I'm going to trust myself. Wow.
Did you give a little more light to the bellows? Yeah.
Nice and still, Georgina. There we go. Wow, your eyes are both in the same place on either side of your head. It's really unusual. Well, it's unusual. So I'm going to put this little cover on, and then what I'm going to do, we're going to put the plate in the camera.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna ask you to look into the lens
Okay.
and have your eyes wide open, but I'm trying to give you something to think about. I would like you to think about
World domination.
world domination.
Great.
Ready? 1, 2, world domination. Beautiful. Yeah. Wow. You can stand up now. That was amazing.
They like me. They really like me.
Georgina, if you are at all interested, Sam will take you into that little crazy room.
Yeah, I
If you
want
want.
to see.
L'chaim.
How's that one looking?
Looking pretty good,
Oh,
pretty
that's
snazzy. They bear a striking resemblance to someone you know.
Yeah, I don't know who that she is. What else?
Yeah, just a little gentle agitation helps me.
It just appears.
For me?
Who, me?
Oh, look at that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a face.
Look at these cheeks. Very cheeky. I don't know.
Oh wow, that's so good.
Stunning.
Well, you know, Mark, when you say show up and deliver, I try.
I know, darling. Okay, folks, that's how we made the pictures. When the actual raw plates come back to Sam here at Penumbra Foundation, he does this lovely process of varnishing, which makes them look beautiful and makes them last forever. And we also scan them here, so we can send you a high-res copy of your file as well. Let's see what Sam's up to. Sam, so we just watched you work like in a crazy space, you know, pop-up tents and stuff like this. I mean, how long have you been doing this, and what do you love about it? You must love it.
Well, I've been doing this process, wet plate collodion, now for 12 years, and if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be 12 years into it, that's for sure.
And like, do you still get a buzz out of like setting up in a small place and making that happen?
Definitely get an ether buzz, that's for sure. But oh yeah, I mean, I love being able to bring the process out on the road and to places that I normally wouldn't have imagined that I could set up and just do my thing at so easily. Certainly not when I first started, but yeah, I love bringing the process out to unexpected places. And you know, a photo equipment rental house is kind of the dream come true, at least from a lighting perspective, that's for sure.
That was crazy because, can we have a... And
yeah,
there it was.
and yes you can.
Yeah, you can. It's
2K
like,
stud, boom, there.
Yeah, it was great. So you're set up in the one that we just saw. How different would that be from a setup when they were making tintypes in the field? Let's like say during the Civil War, or when they were. How different would your setup be from that setup?
I mean, functionally, it's not too dissimilar. I mean, traditionally, the portable darkroom that one would use would be a big, heavy, clunky thing made of wood, and you'd have to have an ox or a mule to pull a cart around with all of your gear. But you know, I've tried my best over the years to streamline the setup so it's very mobile, it's very portable. Certainly they didn't have running water out in the field.
Right.
That was a very luxurious thing just to have that even
Right.
Within the workspace. It makes life a lot easier.
And the chemicals haven't changed, have they?
No, not in a very substantial way. I no longer use the traditional fixing agents, which is potassium cyanide. I've moved away from that.
Just because it has the word cyanide in it, I presume.
Yeah, because it has the word, because of the chemical itself. I have safe chemical handling practices when I do use that chemical, and I use it sometimes in my own practice for certain things. But otherwise, the chemistry is all mixed from raw material, and it is true to the 19th century formulas in every single way.
So you're looking at these 19th century formulas that were written and just basically matching them?
More or less. I mean, the knowledge has been passed down over the years, through the generations, and there was certainly a generation of contemporary collodion photographers before me who were the people I learned from, and that really, that crowd came about really during the mid-1970s when American Civil War reenacting and, a sort of renewed interest in American history with the American Bicentennial in 1976. That's really when the contemporary wet plate renaissance came about.
Oh, really? That's really interesting. So the wet plates renaissance came before people stopped shooting film?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Cool. What are we doing here?
So the final step in the process, after we dry the plates, after thorough washing, and after we scan them, is to varnish them. Varnish accomplishes a few different things as far as the final product goes. It protects the plate from surface abrasions and scratches. It protects the plate against tarnish, because you have to remember this is real metallic silver that the image is made out of, and just like jewelry or cutlery that's made of silver, it is prone to tarnishing. Unlike what we can do with jewelry and cutlery that's made of silver, we can't polish the tarnish off of this, or we would end up removing the image itself on top of everything else. So it protects against that. It also darkens the surface of the plate back down ever so slightly. When these plates dry, unlike in, say, like silver gelatin printing in the darkroom when prints, as you probably know, they dry down, they dry darker than they appear when wet. Tintypes and wet plate collodion images as a whole dry up, so they appear lighter once they're dry. So the varnish also kind of knocks down that, knocks down the highlights and kind of enriches the shadows and kind of gives it more of that when wet appearance that matches more how we assessed our exposure while the plate was wet. And last but not least, it also imparts a little bit of a warm tint to the plate, which is a lovely thing in and of itself. So varnish accomplishes a lot of different things, but bottom line is it makes the plate archival for all time. And the varnish that we use is a traditional formula that's based on the 19th century varnish. It's not off the shelf, it's not an off the rack sort of thing. It's mixed from raw materials, as with all the chemistry in this process.
Can we see how you do it?
Absolutely. So the first thing we do is heat the plate up. And I just use this griddle plate here. Traditionally, in the 19th century, and some contemporary practitioners as well, they use an open flame from an alcohol or spirit lamp. I prefer not having open flames indoors in most circumstances, so the griddle plate does the job. So we heat the plate up. I also keep my varnish itself warm. The closer the two are in temperature, the more evenly it's going to flow. So once the plate heats up for a couple minutes, the varnish is flowed onto the surface in a similar manner to the collodion, kind of pouring from the center, rocking it from corner to corner, edge to edge, draining the excess off, blotting the excess on the sort of trailing edges, and then heating the plate back up to cure the varnish.
So one of the things I love about watching you work is, although you make it look super easy, and obviously it's not, but I also feel that you are not such a stickler for perfection and how somebody else did it. It really feels like you've developed this into your using the traditional methods and chemicals and ingredient, but you really kind of do it your way. Is that most tintypists, or?
Well, I think that every wet plate collodion photographer has their own flavor that they bring to the process. And, the techniques that I've acquired over the years have come from watching other practitioners work. I still love watching other people work and learning what they have to say about their technique and their process. It's always a learning experience.
Wow, that was amazing. It's such a, as a photographer, to watch this process still blows my mind. It's basically what made me a photographer, watching things develop and stuff. Thank you so much, Sam. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome,
it.
and thank you, Mark.
Penumbra Foundation is, again, a phenomenal resource. Check out all the links below to find out more about the Penumbra Foundation. And if you're in New York City and you want a tintype made, Sam will probably be the one to take it. And they do it as a portrait studio, which is really good fun experience. And also, if you say when you're coming, then I'll definitely try and come down and say hi. So thanks for watching, everyone. Do the button thing where you click it so that we can make more episodes, and we'll see you soon. Bye.